You're listening to the Peasinner Network. For more great podcasts, go to peasinner.com.au.
Hello and welcome to Best Left Forgotten, a deliberately unofficial and uncanon actual play podcast. My name is Jess Wolfendale and I am your keeper.
My name is Miriam Feats and I will be playing Agnes Finch.
My name is Nathan Quadrio and I'll be playing Sophia Finch.
That's right. We are taking a break from the wacky world of the Forgotten Realms and diving into a little mini-series here in the Regency Call of Cthulhu system.
Ooh. Get your balls on, girls.
In this system, you are ordinary people drawn into a world of true horror. Triumph is not assumed and survival is not guaranteed. This game is played with a set of skills and characteristics, players rolling a D100 and trying to get under their skill number. So if there's ever a natural one, there will be celebrations. Now, before we begin, I just want to take a moment to say H.P. Lovecraft was a deeply flawed individual who we in no way support, and we acknowledge that some of the rules in this system are a little bit problematic, a little bit ableist, mainly the core mechanic of insanity. So we're going to think of it more as stress or resiliency, as your exposure to incomprehensible horrors chips away at your core beliefs and reduces your ability to act what society would perceive as rationally. This story is set in the Regency era, but a more misogyny-light version, where women are closer to equal in terms of options for occupations and societal interaction. There may be some lingering sexism in the structure of the world, but no racism or homophobia.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Slay.
Don't need that in fantasy, baby. Slay. The module we'll be playing is one of a now Emmy Award-winning 3-part series called Host and Hostility, created by S.R. Sellens, who I thank for crafting this incredible story and allowing us to use it on this podcast.
And congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
He says good luck, by the way.
From the creator.
I know.
Oh my God.
You can find them online at miskatonicplayhouse.com and on Discord. And the game we'll be playing tonight is known as Note Notoriety. Let's jump right in. Dearest listener, I would like, if I may, to direct your attention to a ton of some note. Perhaps you have heard of the seaside resort, blessed with the favour of the Prince Regent as it is, its healing waters and fashionable society. But, dear listener, there are few, indeed perhaps none, who are aware of the looming darkness that once threatened to smother its shores, and the fierce endeavours of those few who, compliant or not, became acquainted with its features. Our story begins, as tales of shadow often do, unassumedly. The year was 1812. The location, Brighton, England. 2 young ladies of good societal standing had been invited to what will surely be the ball of the season, hosted by renowned aristocrat Sir Jasper Dulfray. 'Twas a bright and brisk morning, and as it was ever so at the Finch household, a whirlwind of excited chatter flutters from the room of the younger of the sisters. A room that, despite the best attempts by several of the staff, exudes an eternal air of chaos. And, at the centre of it, a woman sits at her vanity as her lady's maid wrestles with her hair, cards scattered about the desk, and plots for the day ahead. Nathan, would you please describe your character?
I'm playing the lady Sophia Finch, 19 years old, stunningly beautiful. No rouge required.
Ooh.
Just this natural glowing beauty, you know, a rose in her cheeks and her lips with this beautiful, perfectly curled blonde hair. Again, almost natural, despite it being, you know, wrestled into something less wild and uncontrolled. She is on the shorter side, but slim and loves the attention of a variety of young people.
Do you love TTRPGs where you can just be like, yeah, my character's flawless?
Just amazingly hot. Everyone is so thirsty.
You get
for
to live
them.
out your fantasies, really.
I mean, yeah, normally I play bards and rogues.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I'm pretty dashing normally.
You're playing the Regency Call of Cthulhu version.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Your lady's maid, Mrs. Taylor, is sort of combing your hair back into this classic low bun, but it's taking a little while. She's massaging the oils and putting the powder through and combing it. And yes, you have your cards in front of you with what is on the cards, Nathan?
So I have been invited to this wonderful event by Jasper Dolfrey, and I've been investigating and listening and talking to some people to gather a little bit of information about the variety of different potential suitors, whether long-term or one night only.
Classic Regency.
Classic Regency. Oh, darling. Who may be at this event, and maybe I'll keep my eye out for.
Amazing. Anyone interested on there, miss?
Oh, yes. I'm just seeing this Captain Billy King.
Captain King? Oh, you do have your sights set eye, don't you?
Yes, I do love a uniform.
He's been taking the Tom by storm, I've heard.
Oh, yes. Well, I love a bit of stormy weather, as you know, Mrs. Taylor.
Oh, Miss Sophia.
Mrs. Sophia.
And suddenly...
Yeah, I feel like I have to say that every time we've been talking about prepping this, I'm like, okay, so that person's an Eldritch Horror, right?
Yep.
Is this it? Am I understanding the game? Am I understanding Call of Cthulhu?
Exactly how the game works. It's like Among Us, but
Yes.
one of them's an Eldritch god.
That's right. Am I the Eldritch? Is it me? Did I do it?
Yeah, she starts to sort of pin your curls back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You think your sister will be well enough to attend?
Oh, I certainly hope so. I know she does love a dance, but, potentially opening up the blinds might be a good step for her.
Fair enough. It's so wonderful to see the two of you out and about together. Oh, I remember when you were just little things running around.
Yes. Now, Taylor, I'm sure you've got many things to say, but, really, if you could just keep your focus on the hair, that would be lovely.
Right. Yep, no worries. And yeah, she finishes up your hair and you sort of glance around the room a little bit and then you see on the desk near you a book that your sister asked you to get that you borrowed from the library in town that you haven't delivered to her yet because she went to bed early and you haven't had a chance. You suddenly remember.
Okay. I'd walk over and pick up the book. Kind of just leaf through it a little bit, see what I've grabbed.
So what you've got, your sister has been sort of focused on trying to do some research about where you're going. You pick up a little tome called the Reliquiae Britanniae, a discourse on the unexplained occurrences of this sceptred isle. You haven't had a chance to really look through it yet, but you know there is a reference in there to a older relative of Sir Jasper many years ago. You know that he is mentioned in the book, so you picked it up.
Fabulous. And I'd like to head over to Aggie's room.
Great. You walk out the door and you begin to head into the other end of the house. And we sort of zoom out. The chatter echoes through the halls of the house, slowly diminishing and eventually fading to silence before the small wooden door of the study. It sits slightly ajar, the room beyond seeming to sit in a state of perpetual bated breath. The lamps remain cool, the light layer of dust on the higher shelves barely disturbed into a soft cascade through the dim beams of light that stream lazily through the tall window and alight upon a lone figure. Miriam, would you please describe your character?
Agnes is a 21-year-old young lady. She somewhat resembles her younger sister, but in a very distant way. Like a very bad painting of Sophia. A little bit shorter, a little bit thinner in a unhealthy way. Her skin is just a little bit sallow, just not quite the color that you think it should be, and not quite in the way that most British people are for having not seen the sun for a very long time. It's definitely, there's a sickly paleness to it. And her hair is not the luscious sort of golden locks of her sister, but more that sort of pale, mousy blonde that sits much thinner on her head and so is often fashioned into much simpler styles because there's just not enough of it to do anything particularly exciting or fancy with. I imagine she sits at a desk in the study. She has a very old, very weathered notebook in front of her that is fraying and falling apart, and she is currently sat with a few books in front of her, taking notes, trying very uselessly to sort of gain knowledge about Sir Jasper from the little that we had in the family library, but that really she's been coming up short on all fronts.
Great. Yeah, you sit there reading this book, sort of trying to prepare yourself for a social situation that you're heading into.
Yes.
Over-preparing, some might say.
Absolutely.
And a small little flutter at the window catches your attention, and you see a little bird has landed on the railing outside.
Oh.
And it turns into
I thought it was me.
It's Azeroth.
Sophia lands.
Yeah, I think Agnes looks over. Oh, hello. And she's going to try and first see if she knows what kind of bird it is.
Ooh, fantastic.
Let's make a roll.
Let's make our first roll to make a bird roll, please. Is there a nature? I think there's something next. Can you make a natural world check for me, please?
Ooh, this is going to go so well, guys.
Flawless.
What are we aiming for here?
My biggest number on natural world is a 10.
Excellent. It's possible.
That's a 37.
Fantastic. It's a little bird. So you've seen them around a little bit, but not super often. It's quite brightly coloured. It's sort of got a tan and white body with a little bit of yellow on its wings with some red on its head. So it's probably like a red-head bird.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
All those bird fans, don't Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Don't add us.
Excuse me, Brennan. I did lots of research into what kind of birds there would be in Brighton in summer. So this is theoretically accurate.
I think I look around the room. I think I see a little sort of plate with some very stale tea biscuits from like probably a few days ago. And I think I'm going to walk over to the window and see if I can very carefully crack it open and try and see if I can get this little bird to eat some of the biscuit.
Yeah, you open the window and it sort of hops away a few steps but stays there and cocks its head
It's
at
all
you.
right. Do you want any? And I'm just going to scatter some of the biscuit crumbs, sort of like mince them up. Mince them up? In my fingers.
Mince them.
Is that the word? No.
Crumble?
Crumble them up in my fingers and just sort of scatter them and then sort of take like a step back to let it have its space.
Yeah, it sort of cocks its head back and forth and hops forward a couple steps. And then Sophia bursts into the room and it flies away.
Oh, Fifi, I was making progress.
Well, hello to you too, darling. I come all this way. I head up to the library, grab you a book, bring it forward.
Oh, you've got the book.
Of course I've got the book. You know, blue really is your colour.
Oh, thank you.
It's okay. Here. And I hand it over to her.
Marvelous. And she immediately grabs it and in the way that like siblings are, just is immediately like, I got the thing from Fifi that I needed and now this is far more interesting than the fact that she's in my room. And I'm immediately looking at the book.
Amazing. Sophia, what are you doing?
I'm walking around and just continually talking. Yep. Being like, oh, yes, I just had a little quick look through. I think that there was something about some kind of relative and kind of like just dusting dust off of things. I was like, has the housekeeper been in through here recently, Aggie?
Probably not. I told her not to worry about it, seeing as I'm in here all hours of the night. It didn't really seem like there was much use.
And I find the minced tea biscuits on the window. And we're like, what are these from, really? Like, how do they get from your mouth onto the windowsill?
Oh, no, I was feeding a bird.
A bird. Oh, how stunning. How absolutely stunning.
Now, please be quiet. I'm trying to find what I was looking for.
Yeah, of
and
course,
I'm
of course.
rifling through the book again.
Yeah, so having a very quick look at the book, you see that this is volume 1 of a series of books.
Yep.
Getting the vague idea from sort of the first couple of pages, it's a collection of material on customs and traditions, ceremonies, old wives' tales, rhymes about England, basically, about like stuff that happened here or stuff that people talk about happening here. And it was published in 1648 by Aubrey Dulfray, who you assume is in some way related to Sir Jasper.
Cool.
And that's all you get before the clock strikes 10 and you know that your transportation to Thornhill Manor will soon be arriving.
Well, surely we've got to get going, Aggie.
Yes, sorry. Absolutely. And she immediately just starts like throwing a bunch of books and papers and things into a little like travel case.
Amazing.
We're not staying for that long, you know?
The heaviest bag in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So for someone with weak constitution, just like, I have strength 4 books.
I'd like to approach Aggie and just place a hand on her shoulder. Do find some time for people while we're there.
Yes. I promise. As long as you find, please, Fifi, a reasonable amount of decorum while we're there.
I'd like to cross my legs. Me? I don't know what you're talking about. And if anybody said that priest came on to me. And we'll go?
Great. So during the season, you two have both made the acquaintance of one Miss Harriet Fenchurch, cousin of Sir Jasper and previous resident of Thornhill Manor. She's insisted that you travel to the manor with her this morning before the ball, promising a tour of the house and grounds that she grew up in and that few have the luxury of seeing.
Oh.
So here you both stand outside your abode amongst the hustle and bustle of the ton, awaiting her arrival, when a handsome carriage drawn by 2 chestnut ponies pulls up, driven by a man in the red uniform of the militia. He has a handsome square face and neatly trimmed sideburns, and his military coat is sitting slightly agape.
Scandalous.
I know. And next to the man is a woman with a long, beautiful face who you recognize as your friend, Miss Harriet Fenchurch. And she waves excitedly as they pull up.
Harry, darling.
Miss Finch, Miss Sophia, you both look handsome as always.
You too, darling.
Oh, may I introduce Lieutenant Wandsworth? And she gives you a wink.
Mr. Wandsworth, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. And I curtsy very low.
I curtsy the normal amount of curtsy.
So you guys would recognize the name Lieutenant Wandsworth from Harriet having talked to you previously about it in one of your sessions. I don't know, maybe at the Modiste or having some dancing lessons. I have met a man, a lieutenant of the militia, and I believe he means to propose marriage to me at the ball this Saturday.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh, he is simply the bravest, the handsomest, and the best young gentleman of all at England.
Oh, fabulous.
And a good friend of my cousin, Sir Jasper, so no one could disapprove of the match. Hello. Didn't expect that to come out of my mouth.
And his prospects look good?
I mean, he's a lieutenant, so yeah.
Loaded.
And his family is of a healthy standing?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I haven't heard a bad word about him.
Is he related to that Wickham fella I've heard about?
You know, I do think I remember. Back to the present.
We'll fix it in post.
And yeah, Lieutenant Wandsworth turns to the two of you, sort of like rests the reins down in his lap. And he turns to you, he's like, yes, the Finch sisters. I've heard so much about you, shall we?
And we've heard so much about you, Lieutenant Wandsworth.
Oh, is that so?
I think I just like reach behind Fifi and just tug one of her curls really hard. Don't even think about it.
They're not married yet. And I climb into the carriage.
Incredible.
And I follow.
Amazing. As you enter the barouche, you recognize a third figure, Miss Emma Chambers, Harriet's good friend who you've met in passing. Harriet turns over her shoulder and goes, oh, you remember my friend, Miss Chambers, of course.
Of course.
She's a woman in her 40s. She has very pointed features and she looks so tired. Being Harriet's friend will do that to you. And then Lieutenant Wandsworth, with a flick of the reins and a crack of the whip, maneuvers the carriage onto the road and takes off through the streets of Brighton at breakneck speed. Can I have a dexterity check from the two of you, please?
This can only go well. That's an 89.
Yep.
That's a 40, which is a success for me.
Fantastic. So this carriage takes off through the very busy streets of Brighton at a remarkable, like, there are no posted speed limits in the Regency era, but like if there were, he would be exceeding them.
Yes.
And yeah, you guys get thrown around a little bit. Sophia, you sort of manage to steady yourself on the side of the carriage. But Agnes, unfortunately, you're thrown around a bit. You can feel your shoulders bruising as you go. And you see Miss Chambers also being quite uneasy, but she'd already sort of gotten a grip on the carriage. Obviously, he's been doing this a little bit on the way here as you're thrown to and fro around the carriage. What would you like to do?
I think, oh gosh.
I'd like to help Aggie up.
Oh, thank you.
That's okay.
And I think I'd just like to, are there any handles, anything to sort of hold on to? Yeah, I think I'd just like to brace myself a little tighter.
Yep.
In like right wedged into the corner of the carriage seat as well, so that it's a lot harder. Like if we take a sharp turn, it's going to be a lot harder to throw me around.
Sophia?
Miss Chambers, oh, I am loving this look on you. This kind of like... this kind of soil brown, very earthy. Will you be wearing that to the ball this evening?
No, I have a change of clothes. Sorry, And she sort of like looks very uncomfortable at this situation. She's gone very pale.
Sophia, perhaps we save the conversation until we're there.
Oh, but
also
I am
looking very green.
I am through other windows. Can I crack open it?
It's like an open.
It's open. Oh my god.
Yeah,
open
so they're
carriage.
just like right in front of you.
Okay, beautiful.
So we're trying to literally not get thrown out of the carriage.
Almost dog-like. I'd like to kind of lean myself out of the carriage to feel the rush of the air. Oh, I'm just braced right into the ball.
Fifi, we talked about decorum. Please sit down.
I imagine myself like my lips go.
And I think I'd like to just reach out and like hold on to the sash on the back of Sophia's gown so that if we hit a particularly harsh corner, she isn't going to tumble into the street.
Okay.
Amazing.
Lieutenant Wandsworth, stop. Oh, okay.
God. Can you make a reputation check for me?
Oh, Lord.
As you hang out the side like a dog.
58, that's a fail.
Okay. Let me grab up my reputation spreadsheet here.
We're like 5 minutes in, Nathan.
This is great.
We haven't prepped, okay? I'm exploring the character.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'd call this a minor infraction.
That feels right, yeah.
Yeah, you just one reputation loss as a couple of people spot you hanging out and slobbering outside of the carriage. But they're not going to be at the ball tonight, so whatever.
I'll never see them again, so I don't mind.
And I think I turned to Miss Chambers. It really is a lovely dress. I don't see that colour very often, and it looks really stunning on you.
Yep.
Don't mind Fifi. You can see she's ridiculous.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Swinging back in. I'm like, I was honest, you know.
Yes, that's always the problem.
And you see after you go around a particularly tight corner,
Yeah.
the horse is still cantering through it. And you go onto two wheels. Like, this is getting a pretty dangerous situation. And you can see Harriet up in the front seat, grabbing the lieutenant's arm and sort of trying to get him to slow down.
Is there a sense motive role in Cthulhu to be like, is he doing this in order that Harriet will essentially plaster herself on him? Is this a tactic, or is this...
Sure. Roll psychology for me.
I'm kind of okay at psychology. 16.
Wow.
That's great.
Which
That's a
is...
hard success?
My numbers are 50, 25, and 10. So whatever the middle one.
Okay.
It's
Hard
between...
success.
Yes.
You sense that it is a mix of things. It's a little bit to get Harriet up on him and sort of get that close contact. But also you sense that he's just sort of a bit of a reckless individual.
Yeah.
Loves the thrill, but also loves having this woman cuddling up to him on the side as well.
Yeah. He's worse than you.
Ouch.
You must really hate him.
Eventually, Harriet sort of gets his attention and he slows the horses down a bit and he's just like, darling, it was but a harmless jape. And sort of slows the horses down to a trot for the rest of Brighton before you get back out onto the open road where you speed up again, but a lot safer.
Yeah. I think just during the trip, Aggie will be just trying to engage Miss Chambers in that very like asinine, polite society conversation, asking about her. Like I, the player, don't know any details about her personal life. I imagine Aggie knows enough to be like holding that very all the questions that you should ask to constitute like a healthy acquaintance.
Yeah, asking after the family and all that sort of thing. Yeah, amazing. Great. Sophia, anything in particular?
I just like to kind of be leaning back and in the hustle bustle, trying to listen in to see any conversation going on between Harriet and the lieutenant.
Nice.
Amazing. You notice that Harriet doesn't pull away from that sort of close position up next to the lieutenant, which may be a little closer than is socially acceptable for an unmarried young lady. She very quickly seems to forgive him, and they're having a bit of a quiet conversation, which I believe there is a listen check.
Yes.
Go ahead and make a listen check for me.
I'm going to spend some luck because that's a 44 and I want to bring it down by 4 points to 40.
Okay, great. Go ahead and mark 4 luck off. For the people listening at home, luck is a score that I can ask you to roll if there's ever anything outside of your sort of purview purely based on luck. But you can also spend luck points to change something from a fail to a success or from a success to a hard success, etc. So we're spending 4 luck to make that a success.
Correct.
Amazing. You don't hear anything at all. No, you don't hear anything of particular note other than they are very familiar with each other. You hear Harriet sort of going on about the ball tonight and how excited she is, and, you know, she's going to reserve all her dances for him, and maybe they can take a stroll in the gardens a bit later. And yeah, he's just sort of agreeing and, you know, stealing some furtive glances to the side, sort of checking her out and letting her talk.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Eventually, they sort of open up a little bit, remembering where they are, and they sort of open up the conversation to the rest of the carriage. And Lieutenant Wandsworth sort of goes, "So, have you been to Thornhill Manor before?"
I'm guessing it's a no.
No, you wouldn't have been.
No, it's the first time.
But we've heard an awful lot about it.
Fantastic. Have you met Sir Jasper?
No.
No.
Well, you are in for a treat, let me tell you. He's a strapping young lad. Good sort, good sort.
I've heard he keeps to himself a lot. Will we be seeing much of him at the party?
Oh, I'm sure it's his own party, so hopefully he'll be around. He's been working for ages to get the place ready. It's renovations, and I hear there's going to be quite a lot of fireworks.
Yes, we heard that too. I was very interested in it, but I couldn't find anything in the papers. Do you know how big it's going to be? How I don't get out a lot.
Oh, well, you know, obviously he won't go too far. And then Harriet sort of goes, "Oh no, he's been working quite hard. If he can go big, he will go big. His money is no object, really."
No object, you say?
I can't wait to show you some of the changes he's made. He's been working quite hard.
Yes, we'd love a tour.
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. We simply must. Why don't you both roll a psychology roll as we keep talking about Sir Jasper?
76 or fail for me.
33, so nothing.
33.
Yeah, I've got 10.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I've got nothing.
Rough. That's all right. Is there anything else you'd like to know on the journey there?
I'd like to know a little bit about Carolyn Dolfrey, if I could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to get a little vibe check on what that's like.
Check. Yeah, you ask about Lady Dolphrey?
Yes.
Lady
That's what you've written?
Dolphrey is
Yes,
what you've
correct. Oh, yes, my aunt. She's a very strong woman, was the lady of the house for a very long time before my uncle passed away some number of years ago. Very indebted to Sir Jasper, but, you know, she's an older woman.
Well, I hope that we'd get to meet her as well.
Oh, yes, I'm sure she'll be around.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Great. You keep traveling, small talk as you go, but the conversation kind of draws to a close. And in a little under an hour, you arrive at Thornhill Manor. The long driveway is lined with unlit braziers, surrounded by well-manicured lawns with these peacocks with golden collars on them strutting around. The sweet scent of freshly cut flowers assaulting your senses. And as you pull up, a well-dressed footman strolls down to meet your carriage, arriving just as you halt, opening the door and assisting you all to alight as the horses are passed off to the coachman and groom.
As the footman takes us out, I'd like to trip out of the carriage. Oh my! Oh my God! I'm so sorry, Sophia. to put my hand out.
He doesn't. Would he be allowed to take your hand? He helps you steady yourself with your hand.
Thank you.
And sort of gives you a little bow and retreats.
Aggie alights from the carriage after and genuinely has a shakiness to her step. This has been a very intense ride, and I think she's genuinely like a little short of breath, a little unstable, and she's even going to turn to Harriet. Is there, are we touring the house? I think I might just need maybe to sit down in the parlour for a minute? I'm feeling a little out of breath.
Yes, come on in. We can sit down in the entrance hall for a moment before we begin. And Miss Chambers comes over and sort of offers her arm to you to
lovely.
help you in.
I'll take it.
The house looms before you impressively as Harriet starts going on about all the changes he's made and like how beautiful everything looks and how opulent it is. And the groom leads you into the entrance hall, which is perhaps even more impressive than the outside, with its marble columns, gilded golden leaf ceilings high above. The walls are covered in fine silk coverings and richly coloured oil paintings and gilt frames that glint in the sunlight. And your eyes casting about the room, you are seated nearby, and a staff member goes and grabs you some water and brings it back for you to have. Sophia, are you doing anything particular?
I'm just wandering around and trying to get a little bit of the lay of the land of this space, working out where all the little, maybe doors lead.
Fantastic. Yeah, you're casting. Let me actually grab out my
Casting.
map. You're casting.
I'd like to cast Pass Without a Trace.
Yeah, you see this house is laid out kind of traditionally. You can spot off to this one side is the gallery, off to the other side is the morning room. And straight ahead of you, you see a staircase. And as you're sort of wandering around, your eyes are drawn to the top of the staircase, where you lay your eyes for the first time on who you can only presume to be the master of the house himself, Sir Jasper Dolfrey.
Master of the
house.
Copyright. He is a tall, gaunt figure. Dark, slightly unkempt hair and a pale, sallow complexion and these dark, deep-set eyes. He's got a long embroidered house coat over an unlaced shirt, and you notice, even at this distance, ink stains on his fingers. As he descends the stairs, can I get you guys to make either an etiquette or a fashion check for me?
Oh, etiquette's better than fashion, so we'll go etiquette for me.
Me too.
That is the best. That's a 3, which is lower than my lowest number.
Wow.
That's the best I'm going to roll for the entire game.
And what a check to do it on.
A success for me as well, but only a success.
Only a success. Still great. You both know what he is wearing is unsuitable, both for greeting guests and for midday in general.
Yep.
Like, he should not be coming out wearing this.
Yeah.
But you also get the vibe, Agnes, that he is very comfortable. He is rich. He is high in society.
Yeah.
He knows he can probably get away with it.
Yeah.
But also, this is more psychology, but I'll give it to you anyway because you rolled a extreme success. You get the feeling that he's a little bit distracted.
Yeah.
And it's not even necessarily that he did it on purpose. He just has probably been wearing this for a while. It looks a little bit disheveled. The ink stains upon his fingers, you can see it smudged a little bit on his clothes.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't been paying attention to being in polite society this morning, basically.
Yeah.
But he glides down the stairs and begins to address the group. Miss Fenchurch, Miss Chambers, a delight to see you back in our halls once more. He kisses Harriet's hand and bows lightly to Miss Chambers. And Lieutenant Wandsworth, what a charming surprise. Jasper, my good fellow. He moves forward as if to clap him on the shoulder, and Sir Jasper moves almost imperceptibly, but that's enough for Wandsworth to sort of falter and turns it very smoothly into a bow.
Yeah.
I do admit I did conspire to surprise, but I am glad to hear it has been received as a welcome one. Ha! Sir Jasper sort of gives a very brief smile.
Yeah.
He's a hard character to judge, but there's not a lot of mirth in this particular greeting. Wandsworth sort of stands awkwardly for a moment and Miss Finch, Miss Sophia, Sir Jasper Dolfrey, 3rd Baronet of Thornhill. Sir Jasper bows to each of you in turn.
Curtsy.
Curtsy low.
God.
Indifference. He's a baronet.
Fair call. His eyes pass over you only briefly before he turns back to the lieutenant. And he gives him this weird look. You can both roll psychology if you want.
Why not? 82 is a fail.
Fail.
Yeah, no, there's something weird in the way he looks at him, but you don't quite catch what it is. You haven't known him for very long, and he's a hard character to judge.
They're brothers.
Secret brothers. Secret Cthulhu brothers.
Yes, Eldritch God brothers.
Eldritch brothers.
Where are the tentacles?
Eldritch homies. There's this awkward moment between the two of them before he... my apologies, ladies, for my state of undress. The demands of preparations have undone me somewhat. Perhaps a tour of the house and grounds is in order. Miss Fenchurch, if you wouldn't mind, I must complete my ablutions, but I will join you shortly. And he bows once more and leaves.
No problem. We very much look forward to this evening.
Gives a little nod behind him and heads back off upstairs.
Aggie, he seems like your kind of guy.
Both pale.
I wasn't going to say it outright.
Unlike you, Sophia, I did not come here to throw myself in the path of every single person we meet.
And I've only suggested one, but as the elder sister, some of us are waiting. Maybe we wouldn't have to have as much fun if you did your duties, darling.
I think I just ignore Sophia.
If there was psychic damage, you'd be taking it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Make a sandy check. Something,
the eldritch horror of a
something
younger
awful's
sister.
happened here. Eldritch siblings. All right. Harriet goes, well, are you ready to go?
Yes.
Always.
Fantastic. Come with me. Lots to see. And she begins to lead you off. Miss Chambers excuses herself. She's seen the house before and sort of gives you a little smile. And Harriet leads you all through towards the stairs and to the right to the drawing room, which is lavishly furnished and decorated, but still gives a very careful impression of comfort. There's a grand marble mantelpiece with gold leaf, below which a gentle fire crackles behind a grate. And in the chair in front of the fire is a figure. You see an older woman with a round face and thin, eternally pursed lips. She's got harsh eyes, and even sitting, she is notably tall and cuts quite an imposing figure. Harriet's demeanor immediately changes. She stands straighter and takes a step away from Lieutenant Wandsworth and loses her usual rebellious spirit and becomes uncharacteristically demure. Lady Delfray, my apologies for interrupting. Who, of course, you recognize. Lady Delfray, lady of the house. And the lady sort of drags her eyes up to Harriet. And Harriet very quickly continues. Lady Delfray, may I introduce Lieutenant Wandsworth, a friend of Sir Jasper? And Lieutenant bows. And Lady Delfray very quickly sort of glances at him and then very almost imperceptibly inclines her head in a nod. And my close acquaintances, Miss Finch and Miss Sophia. Her eyes slide over to the two of you, and you see she lifts her quizzing glasses to inspect you. Make a credit rating or reputation check, please. We are trying to gain her good opinion.
We'll go credit rating.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. 48
Damn
is
it.
a success.
I have a credit rating of 70,
Yeah.
and I still rolled above it.
What did you roll?
74. So I'm going to use more of my luck
Yeah.
to at least
fair.
get into her good graces.
How's that luck looking?
47?
Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty good still. Got a 50-50 of a luck roll going your way.
Yeah.
So that's just a straight up success for the two of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. She sort of gives a little nod and, yes, charmed, I'm sure.
It's a delight to meet your acquaintance.
Yes, well, take a seat, won't you, darling? Harriet sort of glances over to the two of you and then sits down, as does Lieutenant Wandsworth, though he lounges a bit more.
We'll sit.
Great. And start a little bit of chatter. And Wandsworth's sort of like, so, tell me about your nephew, Sir Jasper. I've known him for quite some time, but know very little about the rest of the family. Yes, well, I'm sure I don't want to bore anybody.
Oh, no, we'd love to hear anything you have to say, Lady Delfray.
Well, the Dalfrey family, of course, is a very old family. We've traced our roots back to 1066, of course, Battle of Hastings. Gwylem de Aldfrey rode with William the Conqueror. And then there was Aubrey Dalfrey, who was around the 1600s, I believe.
Yes, I have a book that he published.
Ah, yes.
And we have a plant, Aubrey too.
Theatre kids. It's like, yes, the Religare Britanniae, I believe.
Yes.
He was an antiquary, natural philosopher, maybe one of the more famous of them, though he never finished the series, of course. There was supposed to be 10 or so volumes, I believe, but only ever published 4.
Was there a reason?
Oh, he passed. He passed, darling. Quite a strange occurrence it was. He became quite aloof and distant as he went on in years. He had some friends around for dinner. I believe they were trying to bring him back into society, as it were. And then that night, in the middle of dinner, he suddenly sat bolt upright and stormed out of the room, grabbed his walking cane, and disappeared behind the house. They say there was a flash of light, and they went out to check, and he was no longer there. There was just a scorched patch of earth with a pair of boots, believe it or not.
How strange. How peculiar.
Yes.
Do you know what part of the house exactly the scorched earth was? I'm quite fascinated by all these strange histories. It would be rather thrilling to take a look.
Oh, I'm sure it's just a story, darling, but I'm sure it's a gardener's joke. But a little bit of a patch out by the maze out the back. Of course, it didn't exist back then, but yes, nothing will grow there, or so they say. Silly story.
We only managed to find the first volume of the book, and my sister is quite a reader. Would you happen to have the other 3 here?
Oh, yes, I'm sure we have them around here somewhere.
Where would they be?
Go ahead and roll a persuade check. Ooh. Is that a 90, I see?
Okay, I'm going to push that.
Oh, okay. How would you like... So initially she sort of like seems to be moving on from the conversation. She's, she's told her story and she's sort of done with it. How would you like to change your approach?
The Dolphreys are just such an exceptionally, important family. And, our understanding, we're finding that many of our peers are not familiar with many of the more esteemed families, and we really would like to understand the works that they've come from in the background, because if we're not understanding what's come before us, then how can we continue in strong stead?
Sure. All right. Now, for the viewers at home, before we roll this, a pushed roll means we can roll again, but if he fails again, it goes quite badly. So let's see what happens.
37, so that's a pass. A success.
Fantastic. A success. Good gamble. She goes, yes, well, come by a little later. I'm sure I can dig them up for you. And, yes, I do believe we must know our history in order to know our future. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. And please, thank you so much. It's such an honor.
She looks very pleased. And then, of course, there's our dear Sir Jasper. Jasper's parents, my brother-in-law and his wife, lived in Brighton, but sent young Jasper to live at Thornhill Manor in the 1790s or so. He kept quite to himself, being the only child in the estate, but became fond of the family dancing master, I believe, and became quite skillful. And then, of course, there was the incident, and he was sent back to his parents after that and didn't return until after my dear husband passed last year.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to pry, but the incident?
Yeah, and also Lieutenant Wandsworth sort of goes, incident, you say? Please, do tell us more. She sort of disgustedly glances towards him like, excuse me, I'm having a polite conversation with these lovely ladies. And she goes, yes, well, Jasper went missing one summer. It was 3 days before anyone found him, poor boy, in the centre of the hedge maze, if you can believe it. Near death he was. He was sent to recover, but never quite fully became the sprightly young boy he once was.
He certainly seemed like a very well-mannered young man when we met him earlier in the entrance hall.
Oh, he's been most generous in allowing his dear aunt and cousin to remain here. Such a dear, dear young man. Of course, he's made many changes since he arrived. Personally, I don't see the need for all the modernization. Perfectly fine as it was. Oh, particularly that positively fantastical starscape on the ballroom ceiling, working for days on the thing. I haven't had a moment to myself with all these people about.
Well, we'll be very excited to see it, I'm sure, tonight.
Yes. Sure you're very excited for the ball.
Sophia, perhaps more than I. I'm not a particularly skilled dancer.
That's right. I must remember to instruct the musicians not to play that wretched dance tonight. Wandsworth is like, dance? And, oh, yes, I'd heard that Sir Jasper was planning to debut a new dance at tonight's ball. And Lady Dolfrey goes, oh, I'm sure it's a perfectly fine dance, but he must wait until the new year at least. It's just the done thing. You can't be starting a new dance at the end of the season. My goodness.
Quiet.
Yeah, is there anything else you want to talk with Lady Dolfrey about?
I'd like to see the rest of the house.
Yes.
Yes. Well, we must beg your leave, my lady. There's much of the manor left to show our guests, and much to do before the ball. She sort of, yes, and waves you off and returns to her needlepoint, and Harriet waves you through to the ballroom.
Oh, my.
Correct, Nathan.
Yeah.
That's the right gold star. There's no inspiration in this game.
Do I get some reputation? No. Some luck back?
No, but honestly, that little interaction with Lady Dolfrey was probably pretty good for your reputation if you keep that up.
I won't, knowing me, but...
So you step into the grand ballroom, which opens up like a cathedral. It is lined with floor-to-ceiling mirrors, giving the illusion of eternity. There's a balcony encircling the upper perimeter with large windows, golden light spilling through them. The high ceiling, as you heard from Lady Dolfrey, has been painted with intricate illustrations of stars and planets. And in the corner, you see the chamber quintet setting up for the evening's event. Is there anything particularly you'd like to look at in the room?
No.
Now, I have...
No.
This is the longest shot of long shots. I have a 1 on astronomy.
Yep.
But I would
try?
like to see if there's anything weird about how the night sky of this ceiling has been painted. If
Please
this seems
do.
like an accurate depiction or if this is like...
Please roll an astronomy check.
That's a 24. So...
Do you want to spend 23 points of luck?
No.
Do you want to push?
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'll just marvel at it with absolutely no knowledge of whether or not anything up there is incorrect.
I see that the ballroom, according to our map, kind of leads out to the terrace. Is the maze out there and where Aubrey's boots were found?
Yes, my aunt does love to tell that story. Actually, you can get quite a good view of it from above, up on the balcony if you'd like.
Oh.
We can head out there a little bit later, but...
Or why not now?
Why not now? Yeah, you can actually see as you're talking, the chamber quintet begins to have a little bit of an argument amongst the first violin and the flute player. Is it flutist or flautist?
Flautist.
You hear the flautist and you really can't help but overhear. It's quite a loud conversation. It's like, how can we be expected to play a new song with no notice and no music? If he wants to put his own reputation on the line by composing his own entertainment, that is fine. But we cannot be expected to lose our good name for this gimmick. And they storm off, violin player rubbing his temples and sighing and returning to his music. And yeah.
Yeah, I just want to go over to the remaining person there. Excuse me. I couldn't help but overhear there's a new song being played.
Apologies, we did not mean to disturb you.
No, it's quite all right. I'm not a very adept dancer, and I thought perhaps if I had a chance to look at the notation that I could get an idea of the rhythm of the song before the actual thing.
Yes.
If you don't mind.
Wouldn't that be nice? It's in fact what we are currently waiting on, and the cause of the tension you may have witnessed. We've been informed Sir Jasper wishes to debut a new dance at tonight's ball, but we have yet to receive the music for it.
Oh.
But not to worry, we are well experienced at playing with minimal practice, if that is what Sir Jasper desires. Apologize, I know not much about the composition, but just that it must be note perfect.
If you get it in good time before the ball, perhaps if you could have someone send for me. It's just I trip over my own feet if I don't know what the music's going to be.
Yes, of course. Of course, we will do our very best. If
you.
we ever receive this music, I will send someone to let you know.
Thank you very much.
I did hear him playing something oddly unmusical this morning, so hopefully the composition will be better than that cacophony. You can roll a psychology check if you want on this guy.
Why not? With an 88, I'm going to say no.
Chillest guy.
Cool.
He seems nice.
Cool.
Upstairs is this way?
Yes. Go ahead. And, she stays down with Lieutenant Wandsworth.
I'll follow you upstairs.
I'd like to go to the right, which is going to take me to the small library.
Oh,
yeah, Nathan.
make moves.
Yes.
Holy moly. Okay. Do I even have notes for the small library? Hold on.
You do now.
Steal us some books.
I don't even know if they mention the small library. I may have to improv this. That's fine.
Improv? Something?
Oh my God. What?
What is this about?
While Sophia is investigating the small library, can I be pulling out the tome that I have? And you said that it was about sort of customs and rituals and things. I would like to be just skimming for like the kind of ritual, like dances and things that are sort of talked about in the book and what kind of uses that they may have once had.
Great. Go ahead and make a library use check for me. Sure. And same for you, Sophia, actually. We're both, books and libraries.
95. I'm going to say no.
46, which is a success.
Success, fantastic.
Also, while I'm looking around, I'm trying to see if I can find any books that look similar to the one that Aggie is currently looking through.
Fantastic. With a success, you do.
Hell yeah.
You see one that is exactly the same, the first volume, and you see 3 more volumes. So the first 4 volumes of the Reliquae Britanniae.
Agnes.
Yes, what?
Bring that bag over here, darling.
Of course, yes. And I bring it over.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
I'm sure some of these that you wouldn't be upset at losing, and I'd like to take out the 3 volumes.
Hell yes.
I'd actually like to take out all 4 volumes.
Oh, hell
and
yes.
Put them in the bag, and then put in some of the books already in your bag to fill the gap.
Sure, yep. All right, I'll allow that.
Excellent. Amazing. You guys now have the first 4 volumes of
Fantastic.
These books.
And while we're in private, Agnes, we are in private, aren't we?
Yes.
Currently.
The maze, of course.
Yes, there's something very curious there.
Absolutely. Both Aubrey and Jasper.
Yes. I don't know whether this is just because I stay in my room and follow flights of fancy in my head far too often, but there might be something to do with the ceiling and the dance, and I don't know. I just think that perhaps Sir Jasper might be trying to do something, connect to a ritual that maybe we don't know. I'm sorry, it's very silly. I'll stop.
Never be afraid to tell me, darling.
Do you guys head back downstairs or?
No, we're on the balcony. We're going to go look at the maze. That's what we're here for.
Great.
Also in the library, but on our way to the balcony.
Yes.
We got lost.
And
we got
walked
turned
into
around.
the room labeled library.
I came across a spell of bad breathing and I needed some fresh air.
You don't get spells this early in the game.
Beautiful.
Amazing. You guys head up. You can clearly now see the large windows looking out over the grounds. There's a workman atop a ladder that seems to be providing a last-minute touch-up to the ceiling painting, which you can now see the intricacy of. It is insanely detailed. And you look out through the windows and see the manicured grounds, and you look over the hedge maze, and you actually, I have something for this.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
I am now passing the players a picture of what the middle of the hedge maze looks like.
Oh.
If you want to take.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird shape in the middle. So around the outer edges, it looks a bit more like a normal hedge maze. But as you get more towards the middle, it's got this weird quality to it. I don't really know how to describe it other than weird. It's not all straight angles. It's got a couple of curves to it and a very open center section.
And the middle was where they found Jasper after his incident. Is that right?
Yes. And near the edge of the hedge maze was where Aubrey vanished. Imploded.
His boots were found, I feel like. That's all we can say for sure.
Yes. It's certainly turning into a far more interesting trip than I had imagined.
I certainly think so.
Darlings, are you ready to go see the grounds?
Yes, just one moment. I'd like to turn to the person painting.
Yeah.
Yes, can I help you, Mom?
I'd like to.
It's like a butch woman.
Oh, it's a butch woman.
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what they wore back then, but I'm going to say overalls. Like,
Yes. Rolled up sleeves.
yes.
Yes.
Gay
Like
panic.
a little bit of paint like across the brow.
Yes.
I'd like to let my kind of like shawl wrap just slip a bit.
Yep.
Such an unusual painting up there. Stars, moon. It's such an unusual design. Do you know how Jasper came across it?
Oh, I don't know particularly, Mom. She's getting a little bit flustered.
Hell yes.
But trying to concentrate on what she's doing and not glance down at you too much.
Mm-hmm.
I just was given the specification, and so Jasper insisted it be completed quite strictly to what you gave me. So,
Absolutely. Do you have a copy of those specifications?
I go ahead and roll either a persuade or a charm, depending on how you're doing it.
I'm going to persuade because it's 35 higher. Oh. I'm going to push
Okay.
God,
because if
You're
I
gonna
don't take the risk,
fall off the balcony.
not physically.
You're gonna push her. You're gonna push this roll.
Yeah, I am.
How do you change your approach? She sort of goes, I don't really have it on hand, and I should really, really complete this as quick as I can. Nathan doesn't like failing.
No. That's why I play rogues and bards who
Yeah.
have expertise in everything.
I'm jack of all trades.
Right? Because I want to be able to play the way I want to play.
Yeah.
I don't mind failing, but I don't want the dice to decide that I fail. I want my own stupid decisions to have consequences.
Yeah.
Which they might be about to. Continue.
I'd like to untie my hat, reveal my hair, and start to fan myself and lean over the balcony so that my assets are a little bit more on display thanks to the banister. I'm just an artist myself, darling, and I'd love to put this down on a canvas and perhaps have it up in my bedroom.
Can I once again just get a hand on Sophia's sash?
Yep. All right. Go ahead and roll again.
That's a fail.
Great. Okay. So here's what happens.
no.
You are so like, you've got this. This is your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fanning yourself, leaning, and you feel Agnes's hand come onto your sash, and that sort of throws you for a second, and you begin to lean forward a little bit too far over the balcony, but Agnes grabs you and pulls you back, and you have that moment of like, wow, yeah, that could have been bad. And then you hear a crash next to you, and the woman on the ladder, freaking out as you began to fall, went to reach for you, and then herself is tossed over the balcony and just manages to grab herself by one hand, but is now hanging on desperately. And you hear gasps from downstairs as everyone looks up towards you.
The ladder is it like one of those like prop out ladders that makes like an A shape?
Correct.
Or is it, yeah, okay. I want to try and with Sophia's help, because I don't imagine I'm super strong, to try and get it so that we're anchoring one side of the A-frame on our side of the balcony and the other side goes down next to her so she can like grab on and climb up over the balcony's edge. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. We can make that work.
This poor woman.
Fifi, help! And I'm going to just, I grab the ladder and
my
prop
God.
it over the edge.
Oh.
And just sort of lean over. Can you grab on?
Yeah, each of you
Strength?
make a strength
you
check.
said?
Yeah.
Oh.
I am going to, because I was only 7 points
Yep.
off, so I'm going to spend
the luck.
7 points of luck
Excellent.
to just make my first success
Okay.
range.
Go ahead and mark that luck off for me.
I got a 69.
No.
Which I just noticed as I read, which is a fail.
Just noticed.
However, I would like to say that perhaps I'm distracted looking around to see if the plans are anywhere and she's taking inspiration from them.
Sure. I mean, seems a bit cheeky to go, I failed this roll, but instead can I make a different roll?
Excuse me. You can say no, keeper.
I'll allow it. Because it's
Failing
fun.
forwards.
Failing forwards. I love it. Go ahead and make a spot hidden. Meanwhile, Agnes, was that a fail? Good.
Sorry, Agnes.
I'm a mean keeper. I love when my players fail. So you both set this up over the edge and then you get distracted, Sophia, looking for these papers. But you manage to, just using pure body weight, sort of pull back.
I imagine I've also got my book bag weighted down on one of the rungs as well.
Which weighs as much as you do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Holding it, and she manages to grab a hold and bring herself back up and she's like, thank you. Thank you for that. I'm so sorry. Mom, I saw you start to fall and I tried to grab you, but thank you. Thank you.
Of course. are you hurt? Do we need to get you sitting down? Can I order anything for you?
No, it's perfectly all right. And she sort of looks up at the ceiling and sees she's made a little bit of a smudge with it and goes, I better fix this. I better fix this quick. Perhaps you should get back downstairs.
Of course. Take care of yourself, please.
Yeah, and she immediately grabs a rag in some terps and starts to redo the little section. Luckily, the paint's still wet, so she can fix it up.
And I think I just grab Sophia by the underarm and say, "We're going to take a walk through the maze."
Amazing. Can you both make a reputation check?
Amazing.
Oh, no. Don't make me roll reputation, Jess.
It's not that anymore.
That's a 22.
That's a 12.
All right, you all are very lucky.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You guys come downstairs and luckily there weren't a lot of people in there. You come down and Harriet's like, my goodness, what happened up there? Is everything okay?
Just a bit of a wobble on the ladder. Everything's fine.
Yes, she was very focused on the high quality artwork.
We were hoping we could see the grounds that you promised.
Yes, of course.
In all the stress, my hat fell off. I'm so sorry. I'm tying it back up.
Yes, hats will be needed. And she takes you outside into the grounds. Autumn has not yet taken a hold of Thornhill Manor, and the gardens still remain in their summer bloom, the well-trimmed hedges rustled by a soft breeze that beckons you along the garden walls. Working on the well-manicured lawn are two men, one older, one younger, who doff their hats as you pass by. As you look closer, they seem to be setting up the fireworks for the evening celebration.
Can I just get a quick glance at how much firepower is in that setup?
Please.
Is this spot hidden again?
Yeah, go ahead, just make a...
Yes, with a 31, that succeeds.
Amazing. Are you just looking or are you going up to have a conversation with these guys?
I don't think I'm having a conversation. I think I just want to get a very brief idea, because I'm much more interested in getting to the maze. I think it's just a brief glance of exactly how much firepower it looks like Sir Jasper is planning on setting off.
Absolutely. So you can see quite a number of little compound pockets set up with little lines of black powder leading back to a central point. You can see there's quite a few.
Yeah.
There a lot of variety as well. Yeah. You can tell that these guys are obviously experts of some sort and have worked quite hard on this display, but Sir Jasper has thrown quite a lot of money at this firework.
Actually, I do want to go talk to them. Sorry. I'm just going to very quickly trot over. Excuse me. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just, this is all such an exciting event. And I was just wondering, the fireworks display, have you been given any specific instruction as to how it should be set off and perhaps when?
Of course, my lady. Very, very pleased to meet you. I'm Mr. Naylor. This is my son, Mr. Thomas Naylor.
Agnes Finch.
Very, very pleased. Do you also approach this conversation, Sophia? He goes, no, we have been just instructions to make it one of a kind. So Jasper's been quite generous. And the younger one sort of steps in and goes, promises to be quite the extravagant display. We've been experimenting with different metals to change the colors and make it burn even brighter. I've been studying since... Oi, shoot, and sort of runs to chase a peacock off that's nipping at the grey black powder.
So there's not a particular time of the evening that you have been asked?
Oh, we got a time, yeah. He'll give us the go, but I believe it's towards the end of the celebration.
Right, okay. Well, thank you for that. It certainly looks like a very grand ordeal. I very much look forward to seeing it.
Thank you, ma'am, thank you.
Can I pull Harriet aside while this is happening?
Absolutely.
Ideally away from Lieutenant.
Sure. It takes a bit, but she's sort of...
Come ahead with me, darling.
Oh, yes. Just a moment, darling. And loops her arm around yours, comes forward.
So as much as I hate to have, listened in, I did hear on the ride that you were perhaps looking for a nighttime walk this evening out in the grounds with the lieutenant, if you know what I mean.
Oh, well, we'll see where the night takes us. Chaperoned, of course.
Of course. Well,
and she sort of winks at you.
Yes. You'll have to tell me where are the hot spots. I don't want to end up in the same bush that you are, if you know what I mean. Perhaps in the hedge maze?
Maybe. Perhaps we'll have to check it out. Plot out some spots. I'll let you know.
Oh, please do. I hear the scent is particularly spectacular. We could see it up from the balcony.
Oh, yes. I've been playing in it since I was a child. It's quite boring once you realise how to get there.
Oh, yes. Nothing strange happens. I know that hedge maze. When I'm in a maze, I just get all a tizzy.
Oh, no, I say I played in it all the time. Really, I only played when Sir Jasper was around. After that, it was quite boring. Spent my time indoors, as it were. You know how it goes.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes, well, and as you're having the conversation, you suddenly hear, on your left, and the lieutenant taps Harriet on the arm and begins running towards the maze, and she's like, oh, you brute, and takes off running after him, and they both giggle as they enter into the maze.
I'll slow for Aggie to meet me.
Yeah, I'll catch up.
Yeah. You guys walk towards the tall hornbeam hedges, making up the hedge maze at the foot of the garden. You can see some trees rising above on three sides, gnarled and perhaps as ancient as the estate itself. And one high up, there's a really odd branch jutting out of it that looks a bit out of place.
Okay.
You can roll a spot hidden if you would like.
Why not?
You gave me a look.
So that is an extreme success from me with an 8.
Just as a success.
Love it. It really catches your eye. As someone who spent a lot of time staring out of windows,
Yes.
You're like, that's not right. That's so strange. And you look closer and you sort of walk towards it a bit. You see that the branch isn't, in fact, a branch at all, but rather an old walking stick embedded into the tree that has since grown around it.
I immediately grab Fifi's hand and tug her over. Fifi, so Aubrey Dolfrey disappears, scorch marks on the ground, boots left behind, no sign of anything else that he was carrying, including his walking stick. And I just point up at the tree. I think perhaps I found the walking stick.
How interesting. I'd like to climb the tree.
Yes!
What a move. Roll
We've got to get our hands on that. We've got to get our hands on that walking stick.
With an extreme success before you climbed the tree, I will point out that must have been put there with like a lot of force. Like it is in there. The tree has grown around it. You can get up to take a closer look, but without some kind of tool, I don't think you're going to get the walking stick out.
Okay, that's fine. Then I won't take the walking stick, but I would like to get a closer look.
Roll a climb check, you wild child.
We don't need to talk about how. It was obviously a foul. Like, there's no way I'm doing
Lord.
that. Oh!
You fall, and it's really embarrassing. But luckily, Harriet and the lieutenant have already disappeared and don't see it.
As much as I appreciate the enthusiasm, Fifi, perhaps climbing trees in the current attire that you're wearing is not the best choice.
Do you guys head into the maze?
Divide and conquer?
I have to be honest, Aggie, mazes are not my strong suit.
I mean, they're not mine really either.
But I feel like your ability to discern paths would be a little bit better than mine.
I can certainly give it a try. Yeah, I'll, I guess, try and lead us through the maze.
Yeah. I would say roll and navigate, but because you've seen it from above pretty recently, I'll give you a bonus die for that. So go ahead and roll another 10s die and take whichever one is higher.
Lower?
Lower, yes.
Okay.
Whichever one's better
Okay.
is what I meant to say.
It's the same roll either way,
Huh.
which is an 18, which fails because my navigator's a 10.
Come on.
Rough.
Just push that 8 luck.
I mean, it's
Or
up to
push
you.
it.
It's not the end of the world. It's
Or we just walk through the mess. It's fun.
it's a maze.
I'm happy to push it. I think my approach for pushing it is instead of trying to navigate by memory, I'm going to like listen to see if I can hear where Harriet and Wandsworth ended up in the maze, assuming that they headed for the center and try and navigate by listen rather than by navigate.
Okay.
Could I also listen with her, or is that kind of like we're just
I'll
piling
say
all the
that
checks?
doing that will continue to give you a bonus die on the pushed roll.
Okay.
10.
10.
Which
Exactly.
is, it's just, if it's a listen check, it's a hard success. If it's navigate, it's a flat success.
Yeah, cool. We'll roll with that. So you guys make your way into the hedged avenues, these columns of green rising tall above you, the light sort of filtering in quite weakly, and there's now a light breeze that begins to chill you in the shadows despite the autumn air. You hear the giggles and calls of your companions in the distance, still quite faint. You're having trouble figuring out how they got there, but you know the direction they're headed in. Agnes, you're taking the lead in this particular endeavor, heading forward, quite confident in that you're heading towards the lieutenant and Miss Fenchurch. You glance down a corridor to your left, spot a dead end, turn back to continue. Sophia's no longer there.
Fifi? Fifi?
Go forward to the next intersection, but there's no trace of her. You can see your breath in front of you in puffs of fog as your breathing quickens. What do you do?
I think I try and go back to the last spot that I remember, like, glancing at her over my shoulder. I don't know, like backtracking sort of like a minute's worth of walking if I can, to just sort of be like, when was the last place that I know that I saw her? Did she just take a wrong turn? And I'm probably just clutching everything a little closer to myself. And I imagine, is it just that I can see my breath, or is it that it's cold?
It's getting colder.
If it's getting colder, I think she's also starting to breathe a little shakier and is starting to struggle with breath, starting, like, her old cough is starting to come back a little bit.
Yeah, you begin to backtrack and it's all looking pretty familiar. Like, you rolled a success before. You've sort of got your bearings in here. You're still seeing no sign of Sophia. The skies have become dull and cloudy, refracting the sunlight into a blanket of grey. At this point, you're not really sure where Sophia went, and turning around, things that were looking familiar aren't looking the same as you remember them. There's a dead end where you thought you came from, and you turn around, and now, because there's no sun to tell you which direction was what, you aren't quite sure which direction you were coming from, where you were going.
Fifi, if this is your idea of some kind of juvenile prank, I really, really need you to stop right now.
No response.
Hello? Is anyone around? I'm very lost.
You see a little bit of movement in the corner of your eye, and you turn your head to the right, and you see a figure you don't recognize standing at the end of the avenue. It's a tall figure, shadowed by the hedges and the distance between you, but you can make out their smart black suit. If you want, you can roll a fashion or a history check.
With a 99, I'm going to say I know nothing.
Yeah, no, the breathing's coming really hard and you find it hard to concentrate. The figure becomes a bit blurry in front of you.
Hello, sir. I'm so sorry. I'm very lost.
He looks to you and he bows, maintaining eye contact. I need you to make a sanity check.
Oh no. 23, which is a success.
Nice.
That is a success. Your stomach drops as the figure straightens, turns, and walks through a nearby hedge. Their body
Just
meeting
straight through it?
No resistance as it passes through and disappears.
I'm going to do a very unladylike thing, and I'm going to run as fast as my body will let me to that point in the hedge and just, like, reach out, touch it, try and just get any idea of what just happened.
You run and you reach, and it is a solid hedge in front of you, as solid as everything else around you, and a very uneasy feeling comes over you. Sophia, you're making your way through the maze. The air around you stinging your skin as it gets colder and colder. At some point, you turn around, sort of like, did we pass this already? Turn back, and your sister is gone.
Anybody ever get deja vu?
Weird, huh? You are alone. The hedge is looming over you in what must be a strange illusion of height as soft pinpricks of snow begin to glitter around you. What do you do?
Aggie, darling, I told you that mazes really aren't my thing. Surely somewhere in your book you found them. You know what? I'm just going to do what I've told, and I'll just wait here until you come back.
How long do you wait?
I wait
10
for
years.
Yes.
I wait until I starve.
That's right. Oh, I probably wait for a couple of minutes, and then you're like, okay. Agnes, okay, I'm going to try and head back where we came from. I'll meet you at the entrance, okay? Trying to be like loud enough for my voice to carry across the.
It echoes strangely.
And then I'd like to kind of turn around and try and make my way back.
Great. You turn around, you take a couple of turns that you remember, and as you're making your way down a long corridor, approaching a T-junction ahead of you, you see a figure step out from the left path.
Mm-hmm.
He pauses maybe 20 feet from you. Then he similarly bows deeply and then goes completely still.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to make a fashion or a history check?
That is a hard success on history.
Hell yes, Nathan.
These clothes are dated.
Okay.
Maybe from the mid-1790s. Not something people would be caught dead in these days.
Or maybe they would be caught dead in them.
Ooh.
So this figure is bowed in front of you, but seems to have stalled, like just be stopped in this bow.
And I don't recognize the figure.
You do not recognize the figure. What do you do?
Well, since I'm here. And I should shake the shawl off.
In the freezing weather. Oh my God.
Sophie's like, I've seen a chance. Gotta take it.
Excellent.
Hello there, sir. I seem to be lost in the maze. Perhaps you could help me out.
There's a moment. Do you move towards him or stay where you are?
Oh, yeah. Like kind of like sliding along,
Great.
sauntering down.
As you move forward, you seem to approach the hedge wall faster than expected. The maze itself seems to move forward equal and opposite to you, but the figure stays stationary and is swallowed by the hedge as if into water, their head the last thing to disappear. Make a sanity check for me.
That's a success.
Success, great. Your heart quickens and you're confused and you're not quite sure what's happening.
Well, I've had men run away from me, but not quite like that before.
This freezing wind rises around you, buffeting and staggering you forward through the maze quite suddenly. Agnes, the same to you. Battered with freezing wind and stinging snow, you're propelled through the corridors, turn after turn after turn, until you're spat out with enough force to send you both reeling. You both stumble to a stop at the bottom corners of an open space, not 10 feet from each other. You spot each other suddenly.
Fifi.
Agnes.
Around you, the impossibly tall hedges seem to arch away, nature itself unwilling to encroach on this place. You look up and see, within the confines of the clearing, a perfectly circular patch of barren ground. And, in the center of it, the figure. Here it stands now, closer, and you can see its true features. A masculine figure, rendered completely in shades of grey. A stately form, light hair parted centrally and neatly, falling in a tuft to just below ear length. A pockmarked face that harbours a perpetual sneer, and, where its eyes should be, two pure black pits that pierce your vision not with shadow but with the complete absence of space. A name writes itself into the recesses of your mind like a melody plucked from a tune, and you know the title of that which stands before you. The dancing master extends his hand and invites you to dance. And that's where we're going to end the session.
You've been listening to Best Left Forgotten. You can find and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Best Left Podcast and on our Best Left Forgotten Facebook page, where we post updates, info, and additional content. Music by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Full song lists and additional artists can be found in the episode description. Cover art by Cattywampus, who can be found on Fiverr. Thanks to Jess Wolfendale, our editor, Miriam Feats, our social media manager, and Nathan Quadrio, our producer. If you enjoyed our podcast today, please leave a review and tell your friends.